Wait, this isn't Studio C.
I know. Sports Scene starts now. Welcome to the Coliseum. We're doing a special edition of the show today, Sports Scene on the Scene, where we give you all the information from all USC sports from the fields they're played on. I'm Jackson Safon.
And I'm Connor McGlynn. The USC football team is going to look to tack on another win to their unblemished 10-0 record against Colorado when the Buffaloes come stampeding into this building right here on Saturday. While Colorado has historically been a bottom dweller in the Pac-12, they're coming into this game, Jackson, 4-1 record with their only loss coming against 4th-ranked Michigan.
And USC's coming into this game coming off a big win against Arizona State, and Sam Darnold had an outstanding Coliseum debut, throwing for over 350 yards and 3 touchdowns, while also adding a touchdown on the ground. Running back Justin Davis had another big game, over 120 yards total, and over 8 yards per carry, Connor. And offensive coordinator T. Martin spoke at practice yesterday about what Sam Darnold brings to the team and what makes him so effective.
Quick hands, accuracy, quick decision maker, and then the legs. You know, he can create, extend. We don't per se call quarterback runs, but there are options within the system of things that he can do with his legs.
One thing that T. Martin didn't talk about, and why would he, would be USC's defense, who had a stellar game against ASU, holding the Sun Devils to just 6 points through 3 quarters before they tacked on a few garbage time touchdowns. But Jonathan Lockett, the cornerback, had a breakout game for USC, 5 tackles, a pass breakup, and an interception to boot. However, more importantly, this was the first time all season that we saw the Trojans play a complete game in all cylinders, something that they're going to need to continue to do if they want to pull off a win right here against Colorado.
And the reason why is Colorado's quarterback play. Coming into the season, it was the dynamic senior Safon, but he's been sidelined with a knee injury the last 2 games, and who's taken over for him? Freshman Steven Montez, who's really excelled in his 2 starts. He's averaging almost 400 total yards per game, has 7 touchdowns to only 2 interceptions. Now, Safon is coming back from injury, so Coach Mike McIntyre said it's going to be a game-time decision about who to start on Saturday.
On the other side, whoever's receiving from whichever quarterback are 2 dynamic threats in Junior Shea Fields and Devin Ross. The 2, while they're still under 6 feet, have combined for 10 of the Buffalo's 14 receiving touchdowns and more than half of their total receiving yards. Pretty incredible. Head coach Clay Helton talked about how scary of a threat these 2 pose out there.
The 2 guys that have really been scary coming out of it are Fields and Ross, the 2 receivers. I've been extremely impressed. They're the hardest guys to cover, the guys that can be the deep ball threat and be the RPO guy out in space and make yards after catch. That's a dangerous animal, and they don't have 1 of them. They have 2 of them in Fields and Ross.
Now, those 2 receivers are a big part of why Colorado's offense is averaging over 43 points per game. But USC has had impressive success against the Buffaloes in recent years, and for more on the 2 programs, let's go to Angel Viscarra.
Coming off of a much-needed win against the Sun Devils last week, USC returns again to the Coliseum this weekend to do battle with number 21 Colorado. Yeah, you heard me right. I said number 21 ranked Colorado. After not recording a single winning season in the last decade, the same Colorado team who has finished dead last in the Pac-12 South the past 4 seasons is currently 4-1 and leading the division. And just in case you were wondering, this is the first time Colorado has been ranked since 2005. When looking at Saturday's matchup between USC and Colorado, the 2 programs could not be more different. USC boasts 11 national titles on its mantle, while Colorado has only 1. And that lone title was won in 1990 when the Buffaloes football program was a national powerhouse under Coach Bill McCartney. And while USC has been a regular at postseason bowl games over the years, Colorado has not made an appearance at a bowl game since 2006 and has not clinched a bowl victory since 2004. To put things in greater perspective, the last time Colorado finished the regular season with a better record than USC was way back in 2001. That was Pete Carroll's first year as the Trojans' head coach. The overall series between the teams has been heavily tilted in favor of the Trojans, who have beat Colorado all 10 times the 2 teams have played each other over the years. And in their 2012 matchup together, Matt Barkley tossed 6 touchdowns against the Buffalo defense in what was an iconic 50-6 USC thumping of Colorado. In contrast, when USC played Colorado on the road last season, the Trojans escaped with a narrow 27-24 victory against the Buffalo team that would finish the season 4-9. Despite the glaring differences between the programs, USC must look past Colorado's shortcomings and prepare adequately, as beating Colorado will be anything but a breeze when the Buffaloes bring the #1 ranked defense in the conference to the Coliseum Saturday, with hopes of putting a serious dent in USC's Pac-12 record.
So we're joined now by Max Goldwasser to help kind of take a closer look at to what the biggest changes have been in this USC offense. Thanks for joining us, Max.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So Jackson talked a little bit earlier about how Sam Darnold really thrived in that game against ASU. But what have you seen about him in these past 2 games as starter that's really made the biggest difference?
I mean, Darnold just brings opportunity to this team. He's a guy who can run in the pocket, create his own plays, and for a guy who's young and can extend and make his own plays like that, it really is beneficial for this whole team. And we saw it on 2 particular plays against ASU. First of all, there was a flea flicker. USC ran a trick play. You never really see that. But it was a broken down trick play, and still Darnold was able to pick it up, make something out of nothing, and toss a launch pass downfield on the run to Deontay Burnett for a huge game, and it was a huge momentum builder going forward. And then there was another one where Darnold could have easily ran outside, taken a 4-yard loss by running out of bounds, but he avoided tackles, one more at the very end to stay in bounds, throw the ball away, and live to play another down.
Yeah, like you said, Sam Darnold, his ability to extend plays, it just opens up the offense a lot more for himself. And not only does it open it up for himself, it opened it up for the skill players. Juju Smith-Schuster had a big game for the 2nd game in a row, as did Justin Davis, over 100 yards. So what does Sam Darnold bring that allows the skill players to be so successful?
Yeah, so basically, I mean, at the beginning of the season, you know, with the new QBs, Clay Helton for some reason wanted to establish a run game, but you can't really do that when you haven't established any sort of pass game. And now that that's sort of been established, that really does open it up for everyone. It was a more conservative effort when Max Brown was at quarterback, but now that you have someone who can make their own plays, you're seeing it in the pass game, over 100 yards gained, more in these last 2 games than the first 3 games in the air, and a lot more on the ground as well.
And anytime that you see that many yards coming up on the offense and the quick getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands, the question of whether it's a spread offense is going to come into play. Clay Helton kind of joked that one off, saying if rushing for 200 yards is a spread offense, and sure, USC is a spread offense. But one of the reasons they have been able to total that large sum is because of sort of a change of play style that we've seen out of the offense. What have you seen from T. Martin's playbook choosing that has changed since Darnold took over?
Well, yeah, when Brown was there, like I said, it was a very conservative effort, but now I'm seeing a lot of passes over the middle, getting the skilled players in open space. You know, when Brown was at QB, I saw a lot of short passes to the outside, trying to move the chains, but now I feel like we're taking big chunks out of the field, and that's something that, you know, is only going to help the offense and the defense, you know, down the line.
Yeah, I mean, Coach T. Martin said after practice that, well, they're not really trying to change the playbook too much because they think their playbook works. With Sam Darnold at quarterback, it just naturally allows them more options and more possibilities to work the offense with. But Max, that's all the time we have. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
And now we'll go over to Julia and Lauren on the pitch.
I'm Julia Adams, this is Lauren Dunn, and we're on Cromwell Field to preview the USC women's soccer team's upcoming week. The women of Troy are hoping to continue their 9-game winning streak in their game against #1 Stanford this Thursday at home.
This past weekend, the women of Troy defeated both the Oregon Ducks and the Oregon State Beavers on the road 3-1 to stay undefeated in Pac-12 play.
USC had a slow start in the game against Oregon and only scored once by way of a penalty kick in the first half. However, the women of Troy came out strong in the second half with 2 goals in the first 3 minutes.
And thanks to the attack of senior forward Katie Johnson, who scored a hat trick, USC also extended its winning streak to 9 games on Sunday against Oregon State.
After a short road trip up north, USC returns home to take on 2 Pac-12 opponents this week, Stanford and Cal. All 3 teams are 3-0 in the conference play, so it's safe to say that this week has huge Pac-12 title implications.
That's for sure. And last October, the Cardinal beat the women of Troy 1-0 by a reverse heel kick goal scored by midfielder Jordan DiBiase in the 61st minute of the game. The singular goal also clinched Stanford the 2015 Pac-12 title.
Thanks to their talented goalie in Jane Campbell, the Cardinal have not trailed in a game at any point so far this season. However, she was issued a red card in the Cardinals' previous game, and due to NCAA rules, she is suspended for this upcoming game. That is a big break for the women of Troy as they will be set to face backup goalie Allison Jahanzu. The back has come on relief 4 times this year and has not allowed a goal in over 100 minutes of play, so goals will still come at a premium.
And Cal is coming off of a win over Washington State, and the Lady Bears' not-so-secret weapon is reigning Pac-12 Player of the Year, Ariel Shipp. She's leading the team in goals, points, and has 3 game winners so far this season. The women of Troy will have to shut her down if they have any hope of continuing their winning streak.
One player who's going to have a large role in slowing down Shipp is with our own Josh Cohen now.
Thank you so much, Lauren and Julia. I am now joined by USC women's soccer defender Savannah Levin. #1 Stanford coming to town this Thursday at 4 o'clock. Savannah and company will be in action. Savannah, thank you so much for joining me. My first question is, what kind of challenges does the Cardinal present to you guys?
I mean, they're a strong program. They have been for years. But I think for us, it's just going out there like we do every game and focusing on the details and just competing.
What has head coach Kadani McAlpine's message been to you guys in practice this week?
Like I said, just competing, playing smart, knowing what they're going to bring, and kind of using the different things that we've learned to sort of adapt to the way that they're going to defend us and whatnot. But again, just going out there and playing our soccer and getting a result.
Now, last year you guys go up to the farm, disappointing result, hard game nonetheless. What did you guys learn from that, and are you going to have that game in the back of your minds when you take the field Thursday afternoon?
Yeah, definitely. It was obviously a tough loss, 1-0. But yeah, I think we're just going to come out there and give it our best. It'll be a great game. Both of us are going to come compete and really want it, so yeah.
Now we fast forward to Sunday afternoon, where the women of Troy will be taking on Cal. As you heard Lauren and the company talk about, Ariel Shipp of the Golden Bears, everyone knows she's a prolific goal scorer. How do you guys contain her as a defender? What's the mindset going into playing that kind of threat?
Yeah, I grew up playing against her from club. We were both in Southern California. So now playing against her, I think just staying compact as a defensive line, not necessarily worrying too much about individual talent, but if our line's connected and taking care of her as well as there's 10 other girls on the field. So it's more just making sure that our team's compact and connected.
You mentioned staying compact, and tactics, of course, will be a huge thing to focus on, not only in Stanford, but with Cal, with Shipp. But a lot of players this year, you have some freshmen getting big minutes, and also some players in new positions, yourself included, moving back to outside back this year. What's the transition been like, and how are you liking it back there?
Yeah, I mean, I really like it. It's I got to play there over the spring, and during season last year, I played there a little bit. But honestly, just throughout the spring, being thrown into it, our coaches are great. The girls are great. Like, the whole defensive line welcomed me in there and honestly just taught me through the whole thing. And I think having the spring to do that, and then coming out playing big games in our preseason like North Carolina's and all of those teams, it's just helped me prepare. And I think game by game I'm still learning, but it's going well.
Awesome. And just because you're playing now with the back doesn't mean number 13 is not going to attack this Thursday and this Sunday against Stanford and Cal. Finally, as we wrap this up, true or false, your older sister played for Stanford?
True.
Are you going to be thinking about that at all as you go up against them?
She'll be there, actually. she'll be coming, so it'll be fun. It's always fun to go against them, and a little family rivalry is fun too.
No doubt. Well, Savannah, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck in both games this weekend. Huge Pac-12 play coming up for the women of Troy. Already got the winner over Arizona. Now all in on the conference action. We cannot wait to see it, so thank you again. We now send it over to Alexa and Keely for more.
Thanks, Josh. We're here at the Utingzu Aquatic Center, where the USC men's water polo team has been dominant so far this season. They're now 12-1 on the season, just coming off a victory off of ranked opponent number 4 Pacific. But Alexa, what has made this team so dominant so far on the offensive side of the ball?
Their offense has been playing really well this season. They spread the ball around very well, actually. And last game against Pacific, 10 different offensive players scored the 15 goals that won them the game. But the duo in the pool that have been dominating are the Edwards brothers. Older brother Blake has 22 goals this season, and younger brother Lachlan is not that far behind with 21. Lachlan was actually named MPSF Player of the Week twice this season. So the offense is doing great, but the real pride and joy of the team is the defense. Why is that?
Yeah, this team has been emphasizing defense this season, and it's easy to do that with their star goalie, McGlynn. He has 103 saves on the season, which is 2 away from being tied number 2 all-time in the USC program history. And he's averaging 3.8 goals allowed per game, which is just incredible. But So far, they've been emphasizing defense, but to go ahead and play more ranked opponents, what are they going to do this week to get those wins?
Well, they definitely need to continue to emphasize on the defense. This weekend, they are playing number 9 ranked Pepperdine and number 13 ranked UC Irvine, which have very strong programs. So still spreading around the offensive goals made and definitely focusing on the defense will give them those wins this weekend.
Yeah, USC actually played UCI earlier this season. They defeated them 14-3, but on the other side of the ball, Pepperdine, they're really good. They have a scorer who is averaging 38 points, so like you said, defense is going to have to play this weekend.
Oh, yes, and that's going to wrap it up for us here at the Yutang Zoo Aquatic Center. Now, let's toss it over to the Galen Center.
My name is Charles Duncan, and this is my associate Michael Lloyd. We're filming live here at the Galen Center. The number 23 USC women's volleyball team is 10-5 this season, and have bounced back in their last 2 games with win over Pac-12 rivals, Colorado and Utah.
After a rocky start, USC seems to be turning a corner into what could be the program's 1,000th win against Arizona State on Wednesday. Charlie, how did the women of Troy overcome its 0-2 start in recent Pac-12 play?
To boil it down to just one thing, it has to be the blocking game. The women of Troy averaged 20 blocks per game against the 2 top 25 opponents, nearly tripling their game average on the season. Ellis Rudden showed her defensive dominance by recording 12 of those 40 blocks, paired with an impressive display of 24.5 points in those victories. With 60 blocks on the year so far, Ruddens is on pace to break her season record of 117 blocks that she just set last season. This blocking bonanza was certainly a big part of why USC was able to salvage its conference chances this weekend, improving on its poor start in an ultra-competitive Pac-12. If USC is going to continue this upswing, who is going to be your difference maker on the year, Michael?
You have to look at freshman outside hitter Clea Lanier. She shined so far in her first season at USC. At Colorado, she logged 20.5 points, 19 kills, and 18 digs, a personal career high for her. She followed up that performance with another stellar game against Utah, recording 19 kills and 15 digs. In USC's 15 games this season, she already has 7 double-doubles, and the team will definitely continue to rely on Lanier. Charlie, after winning back-to-back road matches against ranked opponents for the first time since November of last year, how does the rest of October shape up for USC?
This week, USC will try to take advantage of 2 Arizona schools coming to the Galen Center. USC will be tested by Arizona State in a Wednesday night showdown for USC's possible 1,000th program win. That's a milestone. ASU lost their 6 matchups just this past week, but they did upset number 17 Santa Clara earlier in September. Then, Arizona will come through town on Friday. Despite their impressive 10-6 record, they are 0-5 against the ranked opponents this year.
I think with the uptick of the last 2 wins, along with any potential rotation changes, this team has a great chance to go 4-0 over the next few games in the upcoming Pac-12 slate against Arizona, Arizona State, and the 2 Oregon schools coming in. This mix of sophomores and juniors, along with their great senior leadership, appears to be really gelling and coming together to make a big run before some of the bigger matchups on their schedule, like Stanford coming in later in October.
Stanford, I totally agree. USC will look on to take off number 9 Stanford right here at the end of the month at Galen Center for the first time since 2013. But like we mentioned, the women of Troy will first have to get through these next games in order to bolster their Pac-12 resume. Now, back over to Jackson and Connor at the Coliseum.
Thanks, guys. But you know, Connor, the Trojans aren't going to be the only football players taking the field at the Coliseum this weekend.
No, a bunch of former USC players are going to be returning right here for the Rams vs. Bills game this weekend, starting most recently with cornerback Kevon Seymour, who held down the Trojans secondary from 2012 to 2015 before being drafted in the 6th round by the Bills.
And wide receiver Robert Woods was drafted in the 2nd round by the Bills. While his career hasn't really panned out in the pros, he's USC's all-time leader in receptions and 2nd in touchdown catches.
You know what, Jackson? I don't know if we can technically say that this guy's returning. What do you think? Either way, Reggie Bush is making his first appearance back here in the Coliseum since being disassociated from USC as part of the NCAA sanctions back in 2010. Now, because of those sanctions, Bush isn't allowed to attend any USC events, but he's technically allowed in the Coliseum because it's now an NFL stadium. That's quite a loophole he found right there.
It is, but you know, I hope you get to see him on the field.
Yeah, I mean, it's for him, it's for the fans. So
that's all we have from Sports Scene on the Scene today.
Absolutely. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Sports Scene USC, and find more of us on uscannonburgmedia.com. See you guys next week.